Hey everybody, it's Matt the Dice Checker, joined by Jen, the Board Game Librarian, and we are the Literary Gamers. Today we are coming to you with a review of Star Wars: The Clone Wars. This is the most recent game in the Pandemic system. This is published by Z-Man Games, designed by Alexander Ortloff, and this is for 1 to 5 players. Alright, so Jen, let's talk a little bit about this announcement first.
Well, it kind of dropped out of...
Edit that sound down. So I don't have somebody go, my ears, oh.
Oh, well. You can mute me right there.
No.
So, Z-Man kind of dropped it out of nowhere, didn't they?
Yeah.
And it was like 2 weeks before it was supposed to be in Target.
I think an overall wide release.
Yeah. And I sent it to you, or you told me first?
I had found it, and I think you sent it to me just soon after I found it. Yeah, I mean, this came out of nowhere. And then Z-Man was like, oh, it's going to drop in October. And I thought they had just announced it late October. And turns around it was like October 1st. It dropped. And it was like, that was quick. It was very secretive, and I mean, I understand why. You build that hype up for a few weeks, and then the game comes out.
Right.
This is a spiritual successor to the World of Warcraft, Wrath of the Lich King, that came out last year. Both Pandemic system. I'm not sure they're going to ever call them Pandemic games again, like we had Pandemic, Reign of Cthulhu, then we had Pandemic, oh, what was the other one?
Rising Tide.
Rising Tide, Fall of Rome, was a Pandemic, Fall of Rome. So you had a lot of that, and now it just says Pandemic system on the bottom.
I think some people were getting their knickers in a twist because it's not quite a pandemic thing. It's pandemic-esque.
Yeah.
So they're calling it Pandemic system. So everyone is happy now, yay.
Well, you're not getting rid of diseases in the Star Wars galaxy. You're getting rid of battle droids.
You're getting rid of Roger Hutters.
Yeah. So I know that there is a few videos explaining how this is played, but I'm going to quick show you the components, the special abilities, what comes in the box, because while other videos are probably giving you the overview of how the turns work and everything, I want to show you all the different Jedi you can play, the different villains you're going to encounter, and show you some of the components at the same time. So we'll be right back, everyone. Alright, I'm interrupting this video because I heard a dirty rumor that over 80% of you haven't subscribed to the channel yet. What's holding you back? There's a tiny little red button underneath this video that says subscribe, and then there's a tiny little bell where you'll get a notification on your devices that tells you when you should be watching our videos. And if you watch our videos and subscribe, then you'll be kept up with all the content, do all the things. I can't list them off because there's so many things. Just go and do the things. Alright, bye. Like I said, I'm not going to show you exactly how to play Star Wars: The Clone Wars. There's plenty of videos out there that can do this for you. But I do want to show you the components in the box. Here we have the main board with a map of the galaxy. It shares some similarities with the board from Rebellion. Mainly that the planets are pretty much in the same zones as they all are, with Coruscant being at the bottom and stretching out and going all over there. So it does have some similarities as far as locations, which means that we're finally getting a decent map of the galaxy. Now, I'm sure in some books there's a map of the galaxy. I haven't seen it, so that's why I do like this. Pretty sturdy board, easy to understand. Player turn is down here. The missions that you're going to be completing are up there. This is your deck and discard. The threat tracker is up there. The invasion tracker is up there. And where all your villain stuff goes will be up there as well. So, very easy to understand and very well laid out. Now, in this game, you're going to be playing as one of 7 Jedi. So the first we have here is Obi-Wan Kenobi. His free action is to draw 4 squad cards, then place 3 of them on the bottom of the deck in random order. And his miniature looks like this. Focus. There we go. Alright. The next Jedi you have is Luminara Unduli. Free action is to draw 2 squad cards, then either discard one of them or give it to another Jedi on your planet. Her miniature looks like this. Alright. The next one we have is Anakin Skywalker. For a free action, attack. You can use any of your cards as if they were red squad cards during this attack. He looks like this. I promise he's not blurry in real life. Alright. Next we have Yoda. Free action is to move another Jedi up to 2 planets. And here is his figure. Focus. There we go. Then we have Mace Windu. His free action is move up to 3 droids to your planet from connected planets. And he's fairly similar to Kenobi's miniature. We have Ahsoka Tano, everyone's favorite. Exhaust up to 2 cards. For each, deal 1 damage on your planet or a connected planet. And she's got her dual lightsabers out here. There we go. And then we have Aayla Secura. Move up to 2 planets as a free action. And her miniature is like this. Focus. There we go. Alright. Now, you are fighting one of 4 villains in this game. You could be fighting Asajj Ventress, who, if Ventress is on a mission planet, we would advance the threat. She has 3 health. And when you've completed the missions, you'll turn it over. It shows you where to put Ventress here during the finale setup, and you need to complete the mission of a dogfight, and you'll win when that's completed. She also has a deck of her own cards. Then we have General Grievous. He doesn't really have anything special here. And then you have to use the slider for the finale. He has 3 health. And then the finale is to put Grievous on Utapau. And then you have those missions you have to do in order, and then you will win. Everyone's favorite, you have Maul. His also has a slider. If Maul has 5 power, advance the threat and set his power to 0. When Maul is removed, he loses 3 power, because remember, you can defeat villains. I say remember, when you watch How to Play, you can defeat villains and take them off the board. Then for the finale, place Maul and both mission markers on Mandalore. If he has 5 power, advance threat. If a threat is at 6, instead, place 1 blockade on Mandalore and set his power to 0, and then you need to do the mission Showdown, and then you'll win. And lastly, you have Count Dooku. Setup is to place Ventress on Serrano and Grievous on Utapau, and then move each villain 1 planet toward the closest Jedi. And they have 2 health each on board. And then put him on Coruscant for the finale. Move each villain 1 planet toward the nearest Jedi. When Dooku is removed after the attack, return him to Coruscant and place 1 droid on the supply sheet. When there are 4 droids on the sheet, you win. So those are the 4 villains you are facing off against. They also have miniatures. So here is Ventress. Here's Ventress. Then you have Grievous. And you have Maul. And Dooku. Overall, you have these nice markers, like nice plastic markers for the different things you're looking to do. Here's your 2 mission markers, good quality. This is for solo. This is, it's flying around there. A reminder marker, and a nice chunky dice to roll when you're doing attacks. Your mission cards are fairly easy to understand. It tells you where to put the mission thing and how many you need to roll and commit, and then that's how much damage you're going to take. And then tells you what to do when completed. And they're all slightly different. Some of them have this. This is it's a rough one. Some of them need to be done by 2 Jedi. And then also easy to understand. You have the invasion deck, or what we know from the pandemic system as the infection deck. What's really nice about this is it shows you whereabouts on the board the planet is. There are also 2 cards that have these on them, and you'll just invade the planets that have these tokens on them. Each villain has their own deck, by the way. I just showed you Ventress's. And each deck, I think, only has 7 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cards in each of the villains' decks. All of them will share one card in common, which is Planet Under Siege. All right? And that's your typical Evil Rises, or like with the Cthulhu one, it's called Evil Rises. I think with the Warcraft one, same thing. But that general pandemic thing. You also have the deck of cards here. Red will always add a hit to an attack on your planet. Let's see here. Purple also add an attack. Add this to an attack on your planet. That's stealth. We also have, trying to do this one-handed. Blue, which will double a flight from your planet, limit 1 per flight. And then we have yellow, which is prevent 1 damage to a Jedi on your planet. And then you have greens, which are specific allies. And let's find one of them. So here we have Padme. Discard, and you'll get 2 extra actions. So those are pretty much the... oh, wait, hold on a second. We have lots and lots of battle droids, and they're all in different positions, so I thought that was neat. I'm not sure. I have to reopen the Warcraft one to find out. And then we have the blockades here, and you'll need to defeat this first if it's on a planet. Anyway, those are the components for Star Wars The Clone Wars, so let's head back up, and Jen and I can talk to you about what we think of this game. So that's what you get in Star Wars The Clone Wars. So, Jen,
Matt,
what did you think initially with Star Wars The Clone Wars, the pandemic system?
Well, I guess...
I don't know how many other titles they're going to throw on this.
Yeah, well, let's talk about Clone Wars in general, I guess.
Sure.
You had watched all of it?
All the first 5 seasons and the lost season before they left Netflix.
Did, and then
you watched it.
And then I watched it, like, right before it left Netflix.
Yeah.
I was a casual Star Wars fan, and enjoyed the movies with Matt, who has been a Star Wars fan since he was 8.
Probably.
Okay. So this was not like my thing. This was Matt's thing. So Matt's like, I think you should watch the Clone Wars.
I think everyone should watch the Clone Wars.
Fair.
To be honest. Just push through the movie. I know everyone complains about the movie. Just push through it.
He's like,
because it's important.
There's this Jedi I think you will really like. And I'm like, okay. So, I think maybe one of the best characters Star Wars has ever created is Ahsoka Tano. So, when I saw that she was in here, she was a playable character. On the
very prominent
back,
on the back.
You know, she's really featured on the back and the front cover as well too, because so much of Clone Wars is about her journey.
Did not put this back the right way.
And her observing Anakin Skywalker. Our recommendation is always to watch like Attack of the Clones, all of the Clone Wars, and then Revenge of the Sith, because I think as a triplet there, you really get the full scope of Anakin's journey, and then why the Revenge of the Sith, it's so heartbreaking because you've fallen in love with Anakin in the Clone Wars. He's so much more
show
fleshed
definitely
out.
gave him depth.
And of course there's Mr. Handsome himself. Is he actually doing the pose in the game? He is, isn't he?
I believe he is. Let's check if Kenobi's doing his lightsaber pose.
Yes, his lightsaber pose, and all the ladies go, and guys go nuts over. So, we've been dying for a Clone Wars game.
Yes, he is.
Yes,
there we go.
There he is. We're going into PG territory here, I guess. Hello there. So this, what game had we talked about that should have had a Clone Wars? Legion?
2.
No.
Oh well, first off, this is not
Rebellion.
This is not the first prequel iteration or / Clone Wars iteration that's hit the Star Wars IP with Fantasy Flight, Atomic Mass, and Z-Man. You've had all the miniatures games had their prequel releases. So Legion, Armada, and X-Wing all had prequel stuff. I had hoped when
Imperial Assault.
the content was done with Imperial Assault that they were going to release a Clone Wars style mission with Imperial Assault, because it was more Rebel stuff for Imperial Assault than it was Clone Wars.
Yes.
We also had hoped for a Clone Wars edition of Rebellion.
Yeah.
But not sure that's ever going to happen. But I was very happy to see that something like this came out.
Yeah. When I've talked to people who have not watched Clone Wars and they're Star Wars fans, I'm like, what? Why?
So there is
there's like a prejudice against
when I because it's animated, right?
Oh,
I want to watch a cartoon. Okay. Anyway, so when I recommend Clone Wars to people, I say there's plenty of websites out there that if you don't want to devote 7 seasons of a show, there are certain arcs you want to watch that give you a lot of great story. And that leads me into one of the things that I'm going to say might be a problem for this game. This game rewards devoted watchers of the Clone Wars. If you've only ever seen the movies, and then you look at the cover and open up and you find Darth Maul, you're going to say, wasn't he cut in half in The Phantom Menace and died? Well, if you haven't watched the Clone Wars, you don't know why he's back.
Or, and again, some of the best villains are in Clone Wars, like Matt's pulling out Asajj Ventress.
And if you've only seen the movies, you've never seen Asajj Ventress.
Yeah.
That's another issue with Star Wars Villainous, too, because she's in there.
Right. There's lesser known villains in there. And again, I'm glad that they're more are embracing the kind of prequel Rebels and Clone Wars, because it's great content out there. There's amazing characters, amazing storylines. So yeah, I think this does reward fans, but I'm not like perturbed by that, because to me there's probably, like, you could probably say the same thing about Warcraft.
Oh, the other one.
Yeah.
I had no idea who those characters were, but I still had a great time with the World of Warcraft one.
So if you're someone who's not upset by that, then you could still play this game and be comforted with Yoda and Anakin and Obi-Wan and the one that gets shot from behind.
Oh, Aayla Secura.
Aayla Secura, whose name
Luminara is in here.
Yep. Ones that do show up in the movies.
So the biggest change I think this has, more than the other editions of Pandemic, are the card systems. You do not discard your cards when you're attacking battle droids or completing missions. You just exhaust them, and then you re-up them at the beginning of each round. You don't discard your cards. They are your health. So when you get attacked by battle droids, that is, you're discarding your cards for the hits that get through, not only from the remaining droids, but from the dice that you might get that attack symbol from. At the end of each round, you also don't get the guaranteed 2 cards, which means you have to spend action points to get your cards. And that's tricky. So, to me, I really enjoyed that extra element of difficulty, having to force yourself to spend maybe all 4 of your actions on your next turn to just get a ton of cards in hand.
It's different. Yeah, and the deck does shuffle at if you run out of cards that you would draw, I don't think it's a game end trigger, correct?
Let me check just to make sure.
So I will, hopefully Matt will show a picture of the map here. When I posted it on Facebook, someone had commented Rebellion map, and the maps do look very, very, very similar.
Thankfully, the geography stayed the same on some of that too.
Oh, good. I'd have to take another look through watching Clone Wars, because there were planets on there that I couldn't remember. But it's also been 3-4 years since we've watched Clone Wars together. So you get a bunch of different villains that you can play as in here.
There's 4 right now.
Currently 4. And a bunch of different heroes. So there's replayability, there's options. Are you going to like this if you're not a Clone Wars fan? Yeah, you might. Again, we weren't Warcraft fans,
That was
but
a good one.
it's a fun game. What did you jack, Matt?
Oh, the end of the deck was an endgame trigger. That is not. It's just shovel.
Yeah, so that is different, correct? Or no?
I don't think so.
Okay. So is this a keeper for you, Matt?
Yeah.
Okay.
I would say so. Mainly because we've only really played. Well, I've played 2 different villains now. I haven't played all 4 of them yet. But even just playing against the 2 villains, I've still lost every single time. So for me, it's trying to figure out the puzzle to get going there.
When we played together, we were like 1 turn away from finishing the final mission. And there are different levels, too. It was Padawan in terms of game difficulty.
Yep. We played Padawan because it was like first time through, and I'm not brave enough to just go straight to the most difficult every time with co-op.
So there's different levels, too, if you're playing...
There's Padawan, Jedi Knight, Jedi Master, and Jedi Grandmaster. Now, Jedi Grandmaster, you need to complete 6+ missions, and it has an asterisk saying you can include more than 6 missions for an extra challenge.
Wow.
I think the roughest mission we've come across is the Dathomir mission, where you have to go there, then you switch the planet that you complete the mission on. And I was like, I wasted so much time getting there because I have to draw cards to make sure that I can defend. It's just, there's a lot going on. A lot of decisions. And somehow, even with all of the routes on the planets, I always still feel like I'm severely far away from everything.
Yeah, we didn't do a lot of flying. Maybe that was a key to the puzzle that we just didn't use a lot.
It'll take time.
Yeah, it'll take time. This is definitely one that I want to play again and again and try different characters. I'll begrudgingly give up Ahsoka for Matt to play.
Well, you can't play the same character all the time. I know she's your favorite, but there's others with better abilities.
Blasphemy. So, this is also the thickest box of the Pandemic series. This is a very thick box. A lot of them are around the slimmer end. And...
it's mainly to hold the miniatures.
A fair amount of components in here, like Matt showed. Artwork was nice. It wasn't taken straight from Clone Wars, but it was
a lot
Clone
of it
Wars-esque.
was also recycled from like Destiny and Legion and things like that.
Yeah.
So some of it is very familiar artwork we've seen from previous games. I think most of it was from Fantasy Flight. I can't recall. It's all one umbrella now. One big happy umbrella.
Maybe. So, have you gotten to play Star Wars Clone Wars yet? Do you think this is one that you would add to your collection? Are you a big Clone Wars fan? Who's your favorite character from Clone Wars? Favorite villain? Matt has a PSA that he's going to insert here.
No, I'm not.
You're not doing it?
It goes in before everything else.
Oh, it goes in before. Oh, well, we already saw the PSA then.
Because I've noticed all of you, I've noticed that you only watch like 4 or 5 minutes and then you go to something else. Apparently we're not that interesting. But you tune in and I guess still get an alert that you watched the video. So, but you only watch for 4 minutes. That's why the PSA is at the beginning.
All right, so that is all of my thoughts.
That's it for Clone Wars, everybody. We'll see you next time. Bye.